Buckeye fans, welcome back into another episode of the Buckeye Breakdown Podcast on the Buckeyes Roundtable YouTube channel. Anthony Moeglin alongside my partner, Kevin Woidke, as we work our way through the offseason. We're a couple weeks removed now from the national championship and many weeks removed from the last time our Buckeyes played some football. But that doesn't mean there's a shortage of news. Ohio State had a monster week in terms of news that have been dropped. And as we're at the end of it, the tail end of it, we get to react to it all tonight. But Kevin, before we get into any of that, how much snow did you get this week? That was crazy. That was the most snow I've seen in a long time.
Oh, it was insane. As a West Sider, it might not have been as bad, but it was still crazy. I was down, was it yesterday? 2 days ago. Tuesday, when that squall came through Cleveland.
The squall, yes.
I was still working. I look out the window. I'm like, it's not that bad. Then I turn around a minute later and I can't see anything. I'm like, oh, okay, no, it is that bad.
It's crazy, man. This is a crazy week. Snow galore. I got about a foot where I'm at. And it's been ice cold. So hopefully wherever you're at, you're staying safe, staying warm. And Kev, it was a big week for the Ohio State Buckeyes. They started the week out announcing that the offensive coordinator position is going to be filled by former Steelers offensive coordinator Arthur Smith. Now, Smith, he's most recently been the Steelers coordinator. Before that, he was the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. And before that, he was the offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans. He's had some success. He's had some years that have been a lot to be desired. We haven't talked about it yet. Kevin, I'll let you have the floor first. Go back to Monday night. What was your gut reaction to the news that Arthur Smith was going to be the new offensive coordinator?
I was a little shocked, but also I'm kind of fine with it. So how I viewed it is Ryan Day and Hartline were both passing guys.
Yeah.
Whereas Chip Kelly and Ryan Day complement each other well because Ryan Day's passing offense with Chip Kelly's running offense went well together. I think there's no way to prove this, and I don't know if it is the case. It seemed like Chip Kelly kind of ran the run game, Ryan Day kind of ran the passing game, and then because people forget when Ryan Day came in to Ohio State, he came in as the co-offensive coordinator in charge of passing.
Yeah.
And not that he can't call run plays, but it was him, and then Kevin Wilson was the run game guy. And it worked well. I think that's what people don't realize about this Arthur Smith hire is he's a run guy. He is a run-first guy. He was at Tennessee with Derrick Henry. I think he will complement Ryan Day so well from that standpoint in the essence of, hey, come back, do what Matt Patricia did. Matt Patricia came back, had a blast at Ohio State, and then was able to coach at an elite level and got opportunities to go on. And it sounds like he's coming back this year. I know we haven't got any confirmation one way or the other yet, but you haven't heard his name get called on for head coach anywhere or for DC anywhere. So I think it's just point. Yeah, it'd be great to bring him back and then have Arthur Smith there too. Would be an awesome tandem of two NFL coaches that know how to call football games. I mean, look at how Saban did it with Bill O'Brien coming back, then Dable. There's people that work out in the NFL and then come down to college almost as a step up from where they're at because Ohio State OC almost looks better than the Steelers OC because the Steelers are in such a cluster and they're bringing in Mike McCarthy of all people, which don't even start on that avenue. But I'm excited for it. I think he's an offensive guy. He runs the football well. He designs good run plays. And I think it'll complement Day's passing heavy offense very well.
Yeah, I think you make a lot of good points there. And a lot of people are referencing, when speaking about Arthur Smith, referencing his time as a head coach in Atlanta. And it didn't go well, right? Let's just call a spade on that one. It didn't go well for him in Atlanta. Spent 3 years there, went 7-10 each of those 3 years. And the offenses were lackluster at best. But when I've looked into it a little bit more, right, his best year was 2020, and that was, no surprise, that was Derrick Henry's best year. Derrick Henry rushed for over 2,000 yards, and was just an absolute beast that year. But when you look at the quarterbacks that Arthur Smith has had throughout his time in the NFL as a play caller, right, he's been in the NFL since 2006, but as a time as play caller since 2019, it was Marcus Mariota, Ryan Tannehill, Matt Ryan for 1 year, Desmond Ridder for 2 years. In that second Desmond Ridder year, there's a little bit of Taylor Heineke, and then it was Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers to end it out. So it's not like he's had a murderer's row of quarterbacks to at his disposal. And the good part about Ohio State is that you're going to have a top tier roster, right? You're not going to be, in a situation where you have a middling roster that he had in Pittsburgh for sure, and he definitely had in Atlanta. So a lot of things to be considered there. But one element to this, Kevin, was I found very interesting. So I have some friends on the Atlanta coaching staff that knew or know Arthur Smith very well, and the question I asked was, man, this seems weird going back to college, right, from the pros, because all we hear about is, hey, these coaches want to get to the pros. NILs ruin college football. Pros. But he said the reverse is actually true for some of these NFL coaches, where they want to get a change of pace from the NFL lifestyle, right, where it is 20 straight weeks of game planning and being on the road and being away from your families. It's not that much different in college, but at least you get a little bit of a change of pace. I'm putting you totally on the spot here. Do you think that there may be, maybe not like a mass exodus, but like, hey, you may see this more and more with some of the top tier college programs where they're able to poach some of these offensive coordinators who maybe need a little bit of a rehab project, if you will, going and finding some success at a top level college football program?
I mean, yeah, it won't just be OCs and DCs. You'll see people that are poised to be OCs and DCs 1 year. So, like Jesse Minter.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, it helped that he cheated, but I mean, the reality is that's how, he came down and then he got his opportunity to go coach at the Chargers and then is now the Ravens head coach. I think you'll see a lot of that where, and it doesn't always work. Like I had Bill Davis come down and coach linebackers for a year with me, and then he turned around and went right back to the NFL because he preferred the NFL lifestyle better, because it's still about the same amount of work. It's just different in the essence of, yes, it's 20 weeks on, but you're off for 3 months, 4 months, where in college you're still on during that time. Yeah. And that's kind of the difference I see in it. Like, yeah, NFL coaches can go have a golf game. NFL coaches can, when OTAs aren't going on, like they're good to go do whatever they want to do. Like that's what's interesting. And at the college level, like you get the month of July off, but that's it. You get 1 month off and then you're back. But that's a quick vacation for them. Whereas the NFL lifestyle is a little bit more, yes, you see your family less during the actual season, but I think it probably balances out. But I don't know. I didn't coach the NFL. I had no idea.
Yeah, no doubt. It's a different world, and it's the only world that Arthur Smith has known. He was a GA for the Carolina Tar Heels in 2006, and then he immediately went to the NFL and stayed there. He was with Washington from 2007 to 2008 as a defensive quality control coach. Actually, I take that back. He went back to Ole Miss in 2010 as an intern, then went back up to Tennessee in 2011, and he stayed with Tennessee from 2011 all the way till he left in 2020. Worked his way up from a quality control coach all the way to the offensive coordinator, then got the job as the Falcons head coach before becoming the OC in Pittsburgh, and now being the OC at Ohio State. So he's had a kind of a whirlwind of experiences, and a lot of people have drawn the comparisons to last year. I know I was pretty loud about it. I spoke about it often about, hey, I don't love the Matt Patricia hire. Couldn't have been more wrong. Absolutely, positively could not have been more wrong. So you're hoping that that's more so the case than the alternative, where he can come in, prove that he's got it, prove that, college is a good spot for him, prove that he can do it, and like you said, be a really good compliment to Ryan Day with a ton of experience. But time will tell, certainly, on that front. But Ohio State makes Arthur Smith their offensive coordinator. And, Kevin, he's going to have his work cut out for him, man, because Ohio State's schedule was released earlier this week, and holy cow, dude. Holy shit. This is an absolute gauntlet of a schedule. I'm going to pull it up. We'll talk through pretty much each and every matchup, what we like, what we don't like. But holy cow, Ball State to start, fine. At Texas, knew that was coming, but that game will be sweet. Definitely will be a night game on ESPN since it's the SEC. It's an SEC home game. Then they come home for Kent State, right? Get a nice little cleanup fest there. They'll have a bye week, no bye week there. Bye week's coming. Then they set up a home game against Illinois, who's a ranked team, and then they go down to Kinnick against Iowa, a home game against Maryland, which is I have a thought about that Maryland game before going to Indiana for a matchup, which should be a massive one. Then a bye week, then at USC versus Oregon, versus Northwestern, at Nebraska, home versus Michigan. Kevin, this schedule's bonkers, dude.
I think this is the opposite of this year's schedule. I think this, if we can get through this undefeated, they will be like, okay, this was a real schedule because you're going to Iowa, which is a hard place to play. You're going to LA, which is a hard place to play because that'll be packed. That it's a giant stadium and it'll be full. And then at Nebraska has a good year. I'm telling you right now, dude, if Nebraska can put together a good year, at that point, that game will be insane because that stadium is packed every time that I went to it. And it was so loud whenever they would score after we were up 45 points. It was crazy. I think that'll be a crazy game because the reality is yes, you have the two up north the next week. You're not looking ahead, but you are looking ahead. That's just how it goes. And it happened when we had Dwayne Haskins in Maryland. We won on because he missed a throw on a 2-point conversion in overtime, and we won the game because of it. It was and we all ran around and celebrated. But back ahead, we're like, we should have been this close. And that's just the reality of it. And I think that with that schedule, it's gonna be a prove-it year for the Buckeyes. Where yes, we're going down to Texas, but after that, every other game should be a win up until Indiana. You're allowed to lose.
Yeah.
USC, you really aren't allowed to lose on Halloween. That'll be a night game on Halloween. That'll be a blast. And then you Oregon at home. That'll be a good game. It's a tough schedule, and you're gonna see the Buckeyes get tested a lot, and it's gonna be on this defense and the progression. The progress Sayan makes this offseason will make or break this game. The progress that I'm literally putting at two position groups, quarterback and offensive line.
Yeah.
If those two position groups progress the way they should, and Sayan can get a little bit faster and get comfortable running the football a little bit more, that'll be huge for his game as well as our whole offense.
Yeah.
And then if our offensive line can pick it up, our running backs are good. They're a little green. They need to find the holes a little bit better, but our offensive line needs to make them bigger. When you have green running backs, make bigger holes. They'll see them. So I think that's just kind of where the Buckeyes are going to need to adjust. Is kind of my thing is it's not going to be a big game against Texas, wash, Illinois, wash like that. That's
yeah. And Kev, last year it was exactly that, right? Texas, and then there was nothing until everyone kind of made up the Washington game as going to be a big one. It wasn't, right? Illinois was supposed to be a test. They got beat by 60 by Indiana, and you were like, oh yeah, we're back to normal there. And then you really didn't have a test again until Michigan, and it was like, oh, this is kind of boring. But every week it was, all right, here we go. They're going to play, be close just because the score starts at 0, and then that's it. But this is so much different, right? Because you got legit competition. 7 ranked teams on the schedule. So Texas is currently, and this was going based off of the coaches poll at the end of 2025. So after the national championship, Texas was ranked, Illinois was ranked, Iowa was ranked, Indiana was ranked, Oregon was ranked, and Michigan was ranked, and USC was ranked. So USC was that 7th one. Some of them were in the 20s, right? Illinois and USC were in the 20s. Iowa was in the teens. Texas was in the teens. Michigan, I believe, was in the 20s. They may have been in the teens. And then obviously Indiana was up at the top there along with Oregon. They were, I believe, 1 and 5 maybe. So your work is cut out for you week after week after week. Kevin, the one game that I find to be very interesting, you talk about a trap game. You go to Kinnick on October the 3rd, and you have Indiana on October the 17th. Maryland's floating around in there in between those two. You just hinted at it. You just talked a little bit about your Maryland experience. That has trap game written all over it. Right here has trap game written all over it.
Yeah, I mean, Maryland's a good team. They were when we played them. I remember I got actually my starting spot back because they blocked 2 field goals against us.
There we go.
But they thought they didn't need me on field goal, and they blocked it over the position I vacated. They forced me to vacate. So,
no, man.
It's just, that I hope it isn't, but the upside is at home. If that was home
on the road,
that was home against Iowa, at Maryland, and then home, or it was at Iowa, then at Maryland, and then home for Indiana, it's different. But I think that being home will give us a little bit of an extra bump. However, they got to be focused. And you know what's also is they're not going to be able to rest people like they could last year. They're going to have to play almost every game for a good portion of it, aside from the Ball State and Kent State games this year.
Yeah, it'll be very fascinating because Ohio State hasn't really been tested in that way in a long time, right? It's been some time since in a regular season you've had to face several very good opponents, and that's no fault of their own, right? That's the Big Ten becoming 18 teams. Jeez, oh man, say that 5 times fast. But 18 teams in the Big Ten. You're not going to face everybody, but they keep Michigan on the schedule, and they just load it all the way up with all these different opponents. It'll make for some great TV, man. No one's going to have the argument that Ohio State had another cupcake schedule to get them all the way through. They're going to have to absolutely positively earn their way to the playoff if they want to get back and get the job done here. But Kev, a thought that I had that came up when you were talking, and I wrote about this the other day, talking about our linebacker position, right? And that was one position group that stood out to me as like a potential question mark. But when you look at that schedule, and you talked about the defense having to progress a little bit, and Julian Sayin having to take a step up, is there anywhere on the Ohio State roster, right? Could be wide receiver, could be quarterback, could be linebacker, could be DB, that you're like at this point before spring ball, before anything, that you have a little bit of concern about as you look at that schedule and think like, man, they got to win a lot of tough games, and to do that, this group's going to have to really step up.
One of the groups I feel the most confident about is the linebacker group.
Yeah,
because I mean, Pettyjohn looked great. Pierce looked, I think Pierce is his name, looked fantastic. Like, I'm not worried about of any position group. I think the least worried I'm about is linebacker.
Okay.
Those young guys, when they got their shots, looked really, really good, and they played good ball. I think that, we got some good safeties coming back in terms of the portal. I think it's still the offensive line. I do. I think it's the offensive line for the second consecutive year. I think that it's the defensive line. So getting Kenyatta Jackson back is huge, and that those 2 Alabama D linemen are nice, but we got to see them play, and you got to have that depth there because they've lost some good depth at the defensive line. We're going to have Edwick Johnson, or I can't think of his name. He was a freshman.
Edric Houston.
Yep. He'll be back. I think he'll probably be the starter inside alongside the Alabama guy. It'll be. I truly think it's the offensive line because we brought back 3 key pieces.
Yeah.
There's question marks elsewhere. We brought back Big Phil, but that was never the issue. It really wasn't Big Phil. It wasn't Hinsman. It wasn't Saravold, and it wasn't Montgomery. It was right guard, and we didn't address that in the portal, which is what is a little concerning to me. I would absolutely love, because I don't know if he's signed yet or not, and I'm going to look that up right now.
The tackle from Colorado?
Yeah.
Yes, he is signed. He is going to LSU. So he is going to LSU because they're paying out the ass. They're paying everybody everything that they want.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I would love. Yeah, I see that.
They're putting their you're putting your eggs a little bit into that Gabe Van Sickle basket. Austin Padilla as well. Like there's some guys out there that are like, okay, they're putting their faith in some of the depth guys, and you hope they're right. And one thing I do think that's good, Kevin, about the trio of Hinsman, Montgomery, and Saraveld coming back is that one that all three of them were key cogs in that offensive line as they went to the national championship, right? Where they were involved in a lot of those big games. They felt it. They know what it takes to get to the top. They also know the disappointment of last year. And you coming back for your third year, we've talked about how all these schools are trying to get more veteran. All these teams are trying to get way more veteran. And they do that with those three guys. So I really like that. And they do have to take that big step up because, we watched it. They got dominated on the offensive and defensive lines in their two losses, and it led to the losses, right? So I agree with you that is a really good spot. The reason I'm thinking that linebacker may be a bit of a question, and kind of my rationale for that is we've had such good linebacker play, man. We've had such good linebacker play the last 2 years. Cody Simon and Sonny Styles in 2024. Sonny and Arvell last year. Like Arvell Reese came from like an unknown player to a top 10 for sure, maybe top 5 pick in the NFL draft. And it's been such elite play. And now those guys are gone, right? Those guys are gone. And it's on Petty John. It's on Peyton Pierce. It's on Christian Allegro, the transfer from Wisconsin. And it's on some of the other guys. Ken Sincere Johnson come from Cleveland Glenville and in his freshman year make an impact. What can they get from some of their young pups to make contributions? But all in all, that schedule's a beast, and they better come ready to go. Maybe not so much week 1, but week 2 for sure. You better have your shoes tied tight because it is going to be on from the jump. Kev, we're getting out of here on this one tonight. How much NFL did you watch this weekend?
We're not getting out of here just yet because we got basketball to talk about.
Oh, we got hoops to talk about. All right, hoop, Kevin. The floor is yours.
So it's a big. I talked about it in our community post.
Get in there, by the way. There's a QR code over Kevin's shoulder. Freaking sign it, scroll it, and then get in there. Yep, you'll find Kevin. You'll find myself in there. Go and log in and follow along on us. But go ahead, Kev.
Yep, but it's a prove it game for the Buckeyes for me. Couldn't close out the 2 up north, even though it was close up until 2 minutes. Then went and beat Penn State. Wisconsin is neck and neck with us in terms of schedule, in terms of record. This is a win-it game on Saturday. The men play Wisconsin Saturday. The women play Wisconsin today at 8 o'clock after getting boat raced by 21 in Iowa. But, this is a prove-it game.
Got to have it.
We got to have it. I think that you need to win these next 2 games to get on a little bit of a streak before you bring the 2 up north back into Columbus and hopefully win that game because you play Wisconsin twice for the rest of the year. But, I mean, you only play 1, 2, 3, 4 ranked teams as of this week, one of them being Virginia out of conference before the end of the year. And you got to boost that resume because if you don't, you're not going to be an at-large team. So I'm excited. I'll be eyes on that game Saturday. I had nothing else to watch on Saturday. But I'm excited for that.
It's Ohio State versus Wisconsin at 2 o'clock on Saturday. And then the Buckeyes are off. This is the men's team. The Buckeyes are off till Thursday where they take on Maryland in that second game. And Maryland having a disappointing year, 8-12. So these are 2 games, Kevin, you're dead right? They have to win these basketball games. You can't continue to drop and then expect to be an at-large bid. There's too many good basketball teams across the country right now as I'm starting to dust off the old hoops knowledge here as we dive into it. Did you watch the Indiana Purdue game the other night? Did you see this?
No, I don't watch.
Okay, yeah. Well, it's a big win for Indiana.
Super Bowl hasn't happened yet. I'm not watching any college basketball.
No, just Ohio State.
Just Ohio State. In a couple weeks, you can ask me all you want about random games. Maybe I'll pay attention. Who knows? But I mean, catch me championship week. The only school I follow religiously right now is Kent State and Akron. Wagon wheel rivalry tomorrow.
Oh,
Yep.
Greg,
At
who you got in it, Buckeyes?
They're going to be jamming the jar. Oh, I'll take Kent State.
Okay.
But yeah, they'll be at Akron for this one, jamming the jar. So it'll be.
Did your cousin play for one of those?
Kent State, yeah. So
all right, here we go.
It should be a good game for him. First big rivalry game for him. They narrowly beat Miami, or narrowly lost to Miami. Should have beaten them. But yeah, no, it should be fun, and yeah, absolutely, it'll be.
Look them up, Buckeye fans. Quinn Woidke, 10 times the athlete that Kevin ever was. Kevin, how about Jackson Smith-Njigba?
I mean,
he's unbelievable.
Incredible.
He's unbelievable. Unbelievable. He was crazy in that NFC Championship game. So much fun to watch, and that sets up a pretty cool matchup between the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots. Buckeyes win in the Super Bowl. It's either going to be JSN on the Seahawks side or on the Patriots side. It's Travion Henderson, it's Thayer Mumford, and then it's a couple other guys that are on that team. Travion's got a really rare opportunity. There's only been 6 players in the history of football to win the national championship and then the Super Bowl the next year. So he could join a very exclusive list if they're
one of them, the Buckeye.
I think so. I forget the list. It's not on the top of my head. What is it? Who is it?
Jeff Hireman went from the Buckeyes to the Broncos and won back-to-back.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, Travion's on the cusp of doing the same exact thing. We'll do all of our Super Bowl talk next week before as we get one more show in here before the big one. But Kev, we're getting out of here on that. Any parting words? Any final thoughts before we hit a freezing cold weekend here in Northeast Ohio?
No, go Bucks and
go Bucks, baby. That's all we need. That's all we need. Ohio State, big one on Saturday, another big one on Thursday. We'll be back at some point next week, earlier in the week, as we continue to work through the Ohio State offseason and get you set for. We got the Combine coming up. We got Senior Bowl stuff to talk about. So plenty of football stuff to talk about, but we'll continue to tap into a lot of the basketball stuff. So appreciate everybody jumping in and hanging out with us. For my partner, Kevin Woidke, I'm Anthony Moeglin. We'll see you again soon here on the Buckeye Breakdown podcast on the Buckeyes Roundtable YouTube channel.